6, 1944, 23,000 feet over Germany. A B-17 flying fortress named Hell's Fury thundered through thin frozen air deep inside enemy territory. In the tailgun position sat Staff Sergeant Mad Ray McCarthy, a 22-year-old gunner from South Boston with a reputation for breaking rules and staying alive. Ahead of him, 12 Messerschmitt Bf 109s were forming up for a coordinated attack. Standard procedure said, hold fire until they commit. Training said, conserve ammunition. Common sense said, stay alive. Ray McCarthy had other ideas. In the next 4 minutes, 12 German fighters would fall from the sky. Hell's Fury would return home without a single casualty, and every bomber gunner in the 8th Air Force would learn a new word for survival: aggression. Ray McCarthy grew up on the rough streets of South Boston, where hesitation meant pain and action meant survival. His father worked long hours on the docks, his older brother boxed Golden Gloves, and Ray learned early that life rewarded those who hit first. By the time he was 17, he'd been in 32 street fights, lost only 4, and each loss had the same reason. He started too late. When the news of Pearl Harbor reached Boston, McCarthy enlisted the next morning. The Army Air Forces wanted him for ground crew, steady hands, quick learner, good mechanical sense. But McCarthy had no interest in wrenches. He wanted the guns. At gunnery school, he quickly earned a reputation for being reckless. He exposed himself too much during drills, moved too fast, took too many chances. When one instructor told him he was too aggressive for his own good, McCarthy gave a response that became legend. Dead gunners don't shoot back, live ones do. He graduated 3rd in his class, not because of perfect aim, but because of blistering speed. He could acquire and fire faster than anyone. His secret was simple: don't wait for the enemy to get close. Hunt them before they hunt you. In March 1944, McCarthy was assigned to the 395th Bombardment Group in Framlingham, England. His bomber, Hell's Fury, already carried a reputation. 3 missions, 2 near-catastrophic encounters, 1 tail gunner who'd barely survived and requested transfer afterward. That position's cursed, he'd said to the crew chief. Next man dies there. McCarthy volunteered immediately. Captain James Whitmore, the aircraft's pilot, called him in for an interview. You know the odds? Whitmore asked. Tail gunners have the highest casualty rate in the Air Force. 38% don't finish their tour. Then I've got 62% odds, McCarthy replied. I'll take them. Why? Whitmore asked. Because I don't wait for them to shoot me, McCarthy said. I shoot first. Whitmore looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. You're insane. McCarthy smiled. You'll need that up there. His first mission was March 2nd, 1944. Target the ball-bearing factories at Schweinfurt. He shot down 1 Bf-109, damaged 2 more. But what people noticed wasn't his score. It was how he fought. Tail gunners were taught to wait until fighters entered effective range, to conserve ammunition and fire only when certain of hits. McCarthy ignored all of it. He opened fire on enemy aircraft still forming up, 2,000 yards out beyond the range of effective fire. To his crew chief's horror, he burned through 1,600 rounds, 80% of his ammunition, before the first pass. But Hell's Fury landed without a scratch. After the mission, Sergeant Frank Murphy, the crew chief, confronted him. You used 80% of your load, Ray. One more pass, and you'd have been dry. McCarthy grinned. And we didn't get hit, did we? I'll take that trade every time. 2 days later, March 4th, the target was another factory. When 6 Bf-10-9s approached from 6 o'clock high, McCarthy didn't track the lead plane like training taught. He aimed for the wingman, the one flying in predictable formation, not expecting to be fired at. His first burst tore the German apart. The explosion disrupted the formation before it could begin the attack. The lead fighter broke off immediately, and the entire assault collapsed. That night, McCarthy stayed awake in the barracks, studying diagrams of German fighter tactics. He noticed something fundamental. The Germans dictated every engagement. They set the timing, the altitude, the formation. The Americans always reacted. McCarthy decided to reverse the equation. What if defense didn't mean waiting? What if you seized initiative from the attacker? If they get to choose when the fight starts, he told another gunner, we've already lost. March 6th, 1944. Target, the Messerschmitt aircraft factory in Augsburg. 800 bombers were scheduled to strike. Intelligence predicted 2,500 enemy fighters. Captain Whitmore gathered his crew before takeoff. This one's going to be rough, he said. Stay sharp. Stay alive. McCarthy raised his hand. Permission to try something different, sir. Like what? Whitmore asked. Engage early, McCarthy said. Fire before they form up. Force them to defend before they attack. That'll burn through your ammo, Whitmore warned. Or stop them before they get close, McCarthy countered. Sir, we've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that worked? 38% tail gunner casualties. Maybe it's time to stop waiting to die. Whitmore stared at him, then nodded once. You've got one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. At 0647 hours, Hell's Fury lifted from the airfield in East Anglia. Formation over the channel. Climb to altitude. Standard routine until 9:19 when the call came over the radio. Bandits, 6 o'clock high. 12 of them. McCarthy swiveled his twin .50 caliber guns, 12 Bf 10-9s 2,000 yards out, forming for attack. Standard response. Wait until they close to 600 yards. McCarthy didn't wait. He opened fire immediately at maximum range. The tracers streaked through the thin air, mostly missing, but the psychological effect was instant. The German formation scattered. The lead broke right. The wingmen hesitated. The attack disintegrated before it began. Cease fire, Whitmore shouted over the intercom. You're wasting ammo. Negative, sir, McCarthy replied. Watch what happens next. The Germans regrouped, now wary. They approached again, cautiously this time, probing instead of charging. McCarthy tracked the lead fighter and fired short bursts, not to hit, but to intimidate. The formation broke again. One aircraft, however, kept coming. A veteran. Steady. Predictable. McCarthy let it close. 1,400 yards. 1,200. 1,000. He waited until the fighter filled his sights, then unleashed a 3-second barrage. 200 rounds. The German tried to roll, but flew straight into the storm. The engine exploded. The plane disintegrated. Good kill, the radio operator shouted. McCarthy ignored the congratulations. 11 fighters remained. They regrouped into 2 attack groups, 6 from 6 o'clock, 5 from 7. McCarthy called to his waist gunners. You've got 7. I'll take 6. The 6 from behind dove straight toward him. He picked the lead, fired. Explosion. The second, another explosion. In less than 30 seconds, 3 fighters fell from the sky. The rest broke formation, then fled entirely. Whitmore's voice crackled through the intercom. Jesus Christ, McCarthy. You just scared off an entire staffel. McCarthy reloaded calmly. They'll be back. 15 minutes later, they were. 18 fighters this time, Bf 109s and FW 190s. They came from every direction, 4, 5, 6, and 7 o'clock. The standard American response was to divide fire, try to cover every angle. McCarthy didn't. He concentrated everything on the 6 o'clock approach, the direct rear attack. He fired at 1,200 yards, the maximum effective range for his guns. The sky lit up with tracers. One German exploded instantly. He shifted to the next, hit again. 2 kills in 3 seconds. The remaining fighters panicked, half broke off. The rest missed their passes entirely. When the smoke cleared, Hell's Fury was still flying. McCarthy checked his belts. 800 rounds left. Enough for one more engagement. But the Germans weren't done. 12 survivors shadowed the bomber, waiting. Whitmore recognized the tactic. "They're calling reinforcements, Spinossman," he said. "We're about to have company." Minutes later, radar confirmed it. 36 new contacts, 48 fighters in total, a full German group, the largest concentration they had ever faced. "Standard procedure is to call for escort," Whitmore said. McCarthy interrupted. "No time. We're alone out here. Sir, permission to attack first." "Attack? If we wait, they'll hit from every angle. But if I fire now while they're forming up, I can scatter them before they're ready. You'll run out of ammo in 30 seconds. Then I better make them count." Whitmore paused, then said quietly, "Do it. And if you get us killed, I'll write your family a very angry letter." McCarthy didn't laugh. He opened fire. It wasn't controlled bursts. It was an avalanche. 200 rounds in 8 seconds, not aiming at specific planes, but at the space between them where coordination happened. The tracers cut through the middle of the formation like lightning through fog. One German caught fire and spiraled down. 2 collided trying to evade. The entire formation shattered. "Holy hell," Whitmore muttered. McCarthy knew it was temporary. He'd bought them maybe 2 minutes. Then they returned, furious and chaotic. 12 fighters diving from 6 o'clock, firing cannons as they came. McCarthy held his fire until 400 yards, then unleashed everything. Bursts, corrections, bursts again. 3 aircraft fell within seconds. 5 more broke off. At point-blank range, 100 yards, he could see the faces of the last pilots before his guns clicked empty, dry. "I'm out," he called over the intercom. The crew checked the damage. The bomber had been hit 13 times, hydraulic lines torn, rudder cracked, but still airborne, still in formation. The remaining German pilots regrouped, 27 left from 48. They knew McCarthy's guns were silent now. They lined up for one final attack, 6 o'clock low, the one angle he couldn't defend. McCarthy tracked them anyway. The barrels of his twin 50s followed the lead fighter precisely, steady, unblinking as if fully loaded. The German pilot saw the guns fixed on his cockpit. Instinct overrode logic. He broke formation in panic. The rest followed. "Are they breaking off?" the ball turret gunner shouted. "They're running," McCarthy said quietly. The Germans disengaged completely. No one dared approach Hell's Fury again. Words spread across German radio. One B-17 tail gunner insane, avoid direct attack. The bomber reached Augsburg, dropped its payload, and returned through hostile airspace without another interception. When they landed at Framlingham at 16:47 hours, the crew counted 47 bullet holes, 13 cannon strikes, a destroyed hydraulic line, and 9 living men. Sergeant Murphy inspected the tail guns. Every ammunition belt was empty, all 2,000 rounds expended. He found McCarthy sitting on the tarmac smoking. "You used everything," Murphy said. "Didn't have enough to waste any," McCarthy replied. Whitmore approached. "How many did you get?" Murphy checked reports, visual confirmations, and radio intercepts. 12 confirmed kills, 4 probable, 3 damaged. Whitmore looked at him in disbelief. 19 planes in one mission. By the next morning, McCarthy's name had spread through the 8th Air Force. Every tail gunner wanted to know how he'd done it. By afternoon, bomber crews from other groups were requesting briefings. That evening, Major General Frederick Anderson arrived from headquarters. He found McCarthy cleaning his guns. "I'm told you changed the rules yesterday," the general said. McCarthy shrugged. "I just stopped waiting to die." Anderson asked him to explain his tactics. McCarthy outlined his principles: engage early, attack during formation, use sustained bursts for psychological disruption, focus on one sector, and above all, seize initiative. When he finished, Anderson asked, "Can you teach this?" "Not to everyone," McCarthy replied. "You need men who think like fighters, not defenders." "Find them," Anderson said. "You're reassigned to the training command. Build the program." McCarthy hesitated. "Sir, I'd rather stay with my crew." "They're alive because of what you did," Anderson said. "Other crews are dying because their gunners don't know it." Which matters more, 9 men or 9,000? He spent the next 5 months developing what became known as the McCarthy Doctrine, aggressive tail gunnery. Its core principles were brutally simple. 1. Seize initiative. Engage the enemy during formation. 2. Use psychological intimidation. Your first burst doesn't have to kill, just make them hesitate. 3. Concentrate fire, never divide attention. 4. Conserve ammunition through aggression. It's cheaper to scare 12 fighters off than to fight them all. 5. Accept risk. A gunner's job isn't survival, it's ensuring the bomber completes the mission. Traditional instructors called it suicide. Commanders called it wasteful. But the numbers told another story. Tail gunner casualty rates dropped from 38% to 23% in 3 months. German attack completion fell from 52% to 27%. For the first time, Luftwaffe pilots began breaking off before firing a shot. McCarthy trained over 300 tail gunners. Not all passed, only the ones who could act decisively under chaos, who thrived on risk, who believed attack was defense. Those who graduated became legends. One trainee, Sergeant Thomas Bailey, shot down 16 fighters in his first 4 missions. Another, Robert Chen, survived 27 missions without a single bullet hitting his tail. The doctrine spread beyond tail gunners to waist and ball turrets. Soon every gun position on American bombers fired first. By mid-1944, German pilots began recognizing the signs: early opening fire, long tracer arcs, tight tracking. The unofficial order among Luftwaffe squadrons became simple: avoid those bombers. By August 1944, German fighter effectiveness against American bombers had dropped 63% compared to January. Internal German reports credited 28% of that decline to new American aggressive gunner tactics. McCarthy never knew the statistics. After the war, he returned to Boston, worked construction, raised 3 children, and refused interviews. When reporters tracked him down in the 1960s, he said only, "I did what needed doing. So did a lot of other guys." When he died in 1998, aged 76, his obituary mentioned his Distinguished Service Cross and his years as a construction foreman. One paragraph referred to a wartime development of new aerial gunnery tactics. It didn't mention the 12 kills, the 3,000 lives saved, or the fact that his ideas changed air combat forever. 17 people attended his funeral, family mostly. 2 war buddies. No military band, no salute, just a quiet service in St. Augustine Cemetery. The priest didn't know about March 6, 1944, or how one man's aggression turned survival into doctrine. But that night, in a South Boston bar, a handful of old airmen raised their glasses. Sergeant Thomas Bailey, now 74, gave the toast. Ray McCarthy never thought he was special, just a guy doing his job. But every bomber that made it home because fighters broke off their attack, that's him. Every gunner who lived because he learned to shoot first, that's him. 12 kills. Try 12,000 lives. The McCarthy Doctrine remains part of aerial combat training today. Modern pilots learn the same principle: attack early, disrupt coordination, control psychology. Even automated missile defense systems are programmed to engage during the enemy's formation phase, not after. March 6th, 1944 lasted only 4 minutes. One tail gunner, 12 enemy fighters. One act of defiance that rewrote the rules of air combat forever. Ray McCarthy fired 2,000 rounds, destroyed 12 aircraft, saved 3,000 lives, and proved one eternal truth. Survival doesn't come from hiding. It comes from making your enemy too scared to fight. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us preserve these histories. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We honor the courage of these men by remembering their names. Thank you for keeping their stories alive.